Hello everyone, this is Arvind Kumar Shah, this year's 123rd rank, and this video is in regards to my PSRA strategy. And this year in PSIR, since the scores were quite low and I scored 282, which can be a very good score to have for like in the scale of this year's marks. So this video will be in regards to my PSIR strategy, and it will cover from uh, basic questions such as how to start PSIR preparation, what sources to focus on, and then it will slowly move towards advanced question like how to write questions, like answers and everything. And I'll try to keep this video strictly generic, like there won't be a difference in approaches for PSIR paper 1 and 2. So whatever I suggest here will be valid for equally as much as for PSIR 1 and for PSIR 2 both. In regards to specific topics such as how to handle PSIR, since I got 138 marks this year in PSIR 2, which is I think second highest or something like that, I'm not sure. So I'll probably take a separate video for that. I will explain it briefly in this video as well, but I'll not go into specifics. So first, I have collected a lot of doubts that you asked in my Telegram channel, that is towards civil services, and I have collected those questions and I'll try to answer all of those questions. And in case some questions remain unanswered, you are requested to comment down below, and I'll take up it in next video which I am going to make regarding the specifics of this exam. So what should be the sources? First question. It is also in combination with where should we start. So if you are a beginner in this PSIR, most likely why one should take this optional is because it gives us wisdom, it gives us edge compared to other candidates in essay, ethics, and obviously our optional. It also refines our writing style. For me particularly, I was a below average writer because I was an engineer, I was from Hindi medium background. So for me PSIR has acted as a boost, which has improved my writings a lot. It is because of that I scored good in ethics and essay as well this year, because this subject taught me how to write good words. So that is why we should take this optional. Now where to begin? So the most famous and possibly the most right option would be to either join Subraranjan ma'am's lecture or to read her notes. Like Subraranjan ma'am's classes are, if the best, then her notes are second best option. Third option would be to join or to follow the notes of Piyush Chaubey sir. You can take his classes as well, but that would be your third choice. The reason why Subraranjan ma'am should be preferred over Piyush Chaubey is she is very good at explaining things. Probably sir is better in knowledge, it can be debated, but the way one transfers the knowledge, here I think ma'am has a certain age, her style of explaining things, writing beautiful words yet simple words, writing impressive yet easy to understand language. I have learned a lot of these things from her. She writes very small sentences but yet very powerful one. So because of that, I would suggest that if you have to choose between two, try to choose Subranandan. Should you take coaching or not? Now in GS, one can argue that self study can compensate the benefits of coaching, but here what I feel, you just don't need to be good in optionals. you need to be very good. Good candidates get around 230 to 40 marks. Very good cross that barrier, and it makes a lot of difference. For me, optional essay and ethics has been the reason why my mains marks were good enough, and that's why I would suggest that you should prioritize your optional in such a way that you become expert in the subject, not only a graduation level competence, but expert level competence is required here. So if possible, take the coaching. If not possible, go through her notes. If and you can order those notes either from directly from her, or you can order it from the shops of Delhi, which is very cost effective. Now, next question is, can you totally rely on her notes, or do you need to do anything extra? So here one thing should be very clear, that whatever she has given as notes is supremely cost effective. Each word and each sentence and each page is worth the effort. So don't reject the source. Yet she is qualitative, there is no doubt, but is she sufficient? There lies the doubt, there lies the question. So in PSIR paper 1 part A, you don't need to do anything at all other than her notes. In PSIR paper 1 part B, again the notes, the static portion, she covers it beautifully, but here you can substitute the notes by going through the Indian Express editorials. By the way, if you have to choose a newspaper between The Hindu and Indian Express, here for PSIR optional, it is Indian Express that takes the edge, because it holds the political science language better than what The Hindu does. It offers much diversity than The Hindu does, and a lot of well-known scholars who are political science expert write in Indian Express as compared to The Hindu. So if you have to read just one, read the Indian Express for it. If you can read the editorial of other newspaper as well, so one newspaper wholly for PSIR, and weekly or bi-weekly, you like fortnightly, once in a 2 week, you could search around the newspaper articles. For example, there are websites such as Project Syndicate, ORF, and other websites which are very useful, Economics and Political Weekly, where you get to learn much about this subject. Since this is the subject which requires expertise, you must know what the experts are talking about. So for part 1B, you should do more than her notes, and that is your updation of current affairs. Third is, now if we talk about paper 2, her notes are not sufficient, and they does the work for static portion, but there isn't much static portion to have in paper 2. And current affairs, frankly, I think here Dr. Piyush Chaubey is much more competent than ma'am, and I think for PSIR paper 2, you should substitute your knowledge. You could refer both of the sources, or for dynamic topics such as global issues and everything, you could read Andrew Hobwood. For contemporary issues such as terrorism, climate change, and other things, that book is very good. But be selective. Don't read any book cover to cover for this PSIR. Be specific. What is the topic that is weak, that you think ma'am has not covered properly? Then read that topic only selectively. So this is about the sources for paper 2 part B. There are very good TV shows or should I say web shows that are important. For example, there used to be India's World. I don't know if Rajya Sabha, which is now Sansad TV, if, now offers it or not. But there is another show by, I think, Vikas Swaroop, which is I think very good. I have watched 2 episodes and they are worth it. So you can watch that. Then there is a show by Happy Man Jacob for India's security situation. That is also useful for PSIR paper 1. There is a YouTube channel called School of Life, where you can research about the Western philosophers. Even Indian philosophers are given there. Then there is a YouTube channel called Crash Course, which is also a very good source to cover your PSIR topics well. Then for PSIR paper 2, I followed some books as well. I would not say that I read them cover to cover or I mastered the content as such, but I read Choices by Shiv Shankar Menon, Can Elephant Dance by David Malone. I read some bits of The India Way by Dr. Jaishankar, and many other books where I just wanted some book review. So I did not dwell in the depth, but I went through the content. I noted down some quotes from this so that I could at least pretend that I have read the book by writing some quotes of the book. So a lot of book or book reviews you should do in paper 2 and part 2 of paper 1 as well. Now let us talk about the answer writing. First question is, which people ask, when should we start answer writing for PSIR? So less complicated and simple answer is as soon as you think you have become good in any section whatsoever. If you think you have become good in Western political thought or international political theories, whatever you think has been covered, try to write answers on previous year questions on that. There is a book called Vishal publication, I don't know, they have arranged the questions topic wise, and it has been very useful in my preparation. I used to see the questions topic wise, and I used to think of common introductions and conclusion for each topic. And if you write best introduction and conclusions, there can't be any better strategy to get better marks in this exam. But later I'll go in detail in regards to that. Right now, so whenever you want to start answers, make sure that you are aware about the section very well, and then you can start writing the answers. You can start with previous year question papers. You can start with in test series which offers sectionals. I think every test series right now offers sectional test, so you could do that as well. And now people might ask that, okay, if we are to take a test series, which test series should we take? Again, the same two choices, MEM or Dr. Chovesa. So for first timers who don't hold the experience of taking a test series in PSIR, or those people who have not taken MEM's test series, her crash course is very good. She offers 8 tests, I guess, and along with that she offers discussion on those tests. Earlier she used to offer a lot of discussion, like 22 discussions in my days in 2019 attempt. Now she has reduced it, but still it is very good. So for those who are new or for those who have not taken MEM's test series, they can prefer it over Dr. Chovesa. Now for the people who have taken MEM's, either coaching or test series, and they still don't get marks, and they, like I was one of those people who was not feeling better with MEM's strategy of answer writing. She overtly focuses that you should write in paragraphs, your paragraphs should be coherent and consistent, and every information should be contextual, which was my problem, because I had problems in writing everything with context, and it led to a lot of information being left out because it did not fit in the context, and that's why I could not get better marks. It can work for other people who know how to put proper context to almost everything, but for people like us who face problem, we need alternate solution, which I think Dr. Chobe offers very well. So I asked him if it was okay to write in paragraphs, and he assured me that it is okay to write in to write in point format, and he assured that it is okay to write in point format. He gave examples of many toppers who wrote in point format and got good marks. So that gave me confidence. I started writing in point format, and my scores this year improved considerably. So it is your choice which test series you want to follow, or you could totally rely on previous year question paper as well, but then there is a risk that you would not be very good in current affair questions, but that is like just 20% of the questions. Now, next question is, if you are writing answers, what to write, how much to write. So first question is how different it is from GS. Suppose there is a question on India and China in GS and India and China in optionals. Write the status of India-China relations. Now if it is asked in GS, you could say that India and China have strategic relationship that was signed around 2010, and we have trade of around 80 or 90 billion dollar, and we share border of 4,000 kilometers or something. So GS requires precise information, it requires content, but the same question in optional will be handled in a much different way. For example, I'll introduce China as Napoleon said that China, when China wakes up from its slumber, it will astonish the world. And after 2 centuries of humiliation, China has finally awakened from its slumber and ready to astonish the world. With the coming of Xi Jinping, China is moving on offensive from the biding the time of Deng Xiaoping. So see, the context has totally changed. Now the focus is not on the information or fact, but how to write good, impressive rhetorics. So you should clearly understand the difference between an optional answer and a GS answer. GS answer is about precisely answering the question with proper information, fact, and opinion. Optional is about showing that okay, you have asked the question, but I'll answer more than what you have asked, because I am an expert. I don't merely answer the question, I astonish. So as I said, that GS answer is about merely answering the question based on content, information, facts, and opinion. But an optional answer is much more than just answering the question. When you are answering a PSIR answer, you are writing it as an expert. You will answer more than what is asked. You will astonish them with your expertness. That's why there should be mentions of scholars, keywords, books, book reviews, and everything. So then arises the next question: how many scholars to quote in an answer? Again, there should not be a strict rule for it. If some answers require more scholars, you remember more scholars, then you should be free to use those scholars. In some answers you might not remember any scholars whatsoever, so then also it is okay. But if you have to take a reference, a sort of milestone to achieve, then I would suggest that you should remember 4 things. First is scholar or author, second is his book, third is keyword, and fourth is quote. And combination of all four should be equal to the mark the question holds. For example, if it is a 10 marker question, you can write 2 scholars, 2 books, 4 keywords, and 2 quotes, adding to 10. It is not a strict rule, it is just I am giving a sense what can be aimed at. If you want to write more than that, it is okay. If you could write less than that, it is okay. But this you can take as a reference. For 15 marker questions, it should add to 15. For 20 markers questions, it should add to 20. Now, since we are talking about book review, I have given a list of books, and some of books holds the review as well in PDF. You can search it on Telegram, or I'll put the link in description. By the way, I'll put a lot of links in description, so you are requested to go through the description of this video. It will have the link of list of scholars that one should follow in newspapers. It will hold the list of theories and associated keywords in scholars for PSIR paper 2, which I'll discuss later why it is important. I'll also put in the description the links of my notes of PSIR, which are ever notes, which can be extremely useful, and it will also hold the links of my PSIR copies, which you can take to look how whichever strategy I am suggesting, how it acts in reality. So let us move forward. Now another question which I sort of discussed earlier as well, paragraph versus bullets. Again, if you are good at writing paragraphs, if you are from humanities background, if you think your language is good, you can write coherent things with proper information. You don't miss out information, yet you fulfill the requirement of coherency and consistency, then you can write in paragraph. People who write in paragraph might get good marks than people writing in point format. But if you are not good at writing paragraphs, still you write paragraphs, you can make a blunder out of that. So a lot of people would score in very less range. The reason is they are forcing themselves to be what they cannot be. It is better that you write in point format then. But then also there should be a difference of a GS answer and optional answer. In GS answer, your answer can begin with a point and end with a point. Your introduction can be a point, a conclusion can also be a point. But in optional, points are merely a pillar to support your structure. Your answer still remains an optional level answer. So what I used to do is I used to make extremely good introduction and conclusions in advance, which will satisfy the need of examiner to make him feel that the person writing is an expert. So if you say 2 extremely good sentences with perfect rhetoric and scholarly view, you have satisfied his hunger to feel the expertise. Now you can get started with the business. So with good introduction, then you can start with point format. You write your content, again containing a lot of keywords, scholars, book reviews, and authors and quotes and everything. Then with conclusion, you again remind him that okay, don't forget I am an expert, I just chose to write in point format. Then you will compensate the lack of paragraphs in your paper. It worked for me, and if you are not good at writing paragraphs, you can try this strategy and it works. when your answer is full of content, you have provided what has been asked. It does not matter in what form you have presented it. Examiner cannot not reward you if you have given the things that he wanted. So that is on paragraphs versus bullet writing. Now I'll put links in description of my Evernote that I have shared. But first, I would like to give credit to Mr. Tushar Gupta, who is IPS 17 batch, and he made a skeleton of PSIR Evernote, which has created a revolution. Many toppers have made their own notes out of those skeleton. I have done it as well, and uh, my notes, I would say 30% of the notes are still of Tushar Gupta, so credit should go to him. And I have made the improvement, so basic structure still is the same, but the content has improved a lot because his notes are at least 3 year older. So a lot of current affair edition is written in me, and you can find the notes below. Now how to approach the notes. So first thing is, the notes are color coded. The moment you will look at it, it will appear as a very colorful note. So it is not merely for aesthetics. There is not much role of aesthetics in this exam. So the green letters are of names of scholars and authors. Personalities basically are presented in green. The quotes have been presented in sky blue. The keywords have been mentioned in dark red, and then books have been presented in violet color. It helps you count how many scholars I have for this uh, topic, how many keywords, how many books, and everything. So you get an idea that if my notes is not appearing colorful, it is missing the content which will give the feel of expertise. And also, the color coding helps when you are revising, you are doing the fast revision. So there are two types of revision you are supposed to do. First is slow revision, when you give everything you have, your whole presence of mind should be there, take as much time as you need to revise them. But you cannot do it every time. So for other times, suppose you are just going to write a paper and now you need a fast revision for that, so that you don't miss out on the important informations. So for fast revision, you just go with the color coded words, nothing else. You will remember all the scholars, all the keywords, all the books and quotes, which is the prerequisite of this paper, where you put a lot of that. Because concept, once you have understood, will retain. It will somewhere be in you. It is the scholars, keywords, authors and quotes which go missing, or you might get confused. You might quote wrong scholars with wrong book, and it can create a disaster. Because if you have quoted wrong book with a wrong scholar, you are no longer an expert in the evaluator's eye. So make sure that you don't do that, and in order to be assured of that, you should remember them, and fast revision is a very good idea for that. Again, third is, from my notes, a lot of things have been highlighted with yellow background. They are indication that either it is a conclusion or an introduction, or it can be used as such. As I said, in order to have an extremely strong introduction and conclusion, you should pre-construct it, and those introductions are pre-constructed by me. You can have an idea that how to have a premeditated introduction, which is very strong and universally applicable for a topic as well. So you should not make an introduction that merely is useful for one question, but it cannot be used for another. It should not be a contextual introduction as such. Now, as I said, I have put the links of book review as well in the link in the description below. Those reviews have been collected from a lot of sources. Some of the reviews also I collected from Dr. Piyush Chaube's PDF of big reviews. but very less books from there. Then I did a lot of research on my own. I searched on Amazon, in Google Scholar, that how many books in current time has been uh, published on some topics such as parliament, such as India relations with neighboring countries, India's relation with superpowers, how the international geopolitics is happening. So all the books I noted down, and if I remembered some things with absolute clarity, with no confusion whatsoever, was the name of the all books that I have mentioned in those PDFs. I remembered all of them, and it made a lot of difference. It showed that this person has read a lot of books. Even the perception of expert can help you, even if you are not an expert. Obviously, I am not an expert. I just read PSIR for like 2 years, and it is in no way uh, an indication of an expert. So this is all I have to say about PSIR in this session, this video. I'll release next video very soon on how to go in specifics. For example, how to interrelate the questions, how to tackle new questions which are not from our notes, and how to increase marks in PSIR 2. All these questions will be dealt in later video. And thank you so much for watching. Please spread the word about this, and if you think this video is useful, you are requested to subscribe the channel as well. Thank you a lot, and have a great day.